who is one of the most famous in our particular spiritual line, one of the most famous devotees of Krishna. And we'll hear something about him tonight. He was especially famous for his chanting. Some of you are not familiar. Maybe, have you been to Hare Krishna programs before? First time? Pardon? First time. You were family members? Are you related?
No,
just met this evening, okay. And how did you come about to come this evening? You heard from somebody? Oh, you were in the town. Oh, very nice. Wonderful. Thank you for coming. It's a special subject tonight. It's not so much philosophy or the teachings or the history. Tomorrow will be more like that, tomorrow evening. This evening is been asked to speak on this particular person, a very special person. Well, we hope you get a little some happiness out of hearing about him. It is stated in, there are many scriptures. One scripture called Bhakti Aloka is a scripture by another great personality named Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And Bhakti Vinod writes that by hearing about Haridas Thakur, one gets great confidence, determination, and satisfaction. So we hope we get something along those lines. Can you hear me? It's very echoey from here. Pardon? It's very echoey here. It sounds like it's echoing. I don't know. The sound doesn't sound very clear. Pardon? They're like that? What can we do? I mean, is it possible to put a little bit more bass or something? It's very sharp. Yeah, well, I don't like getting too close to microphones. If there's more bass and more volume, it would be better for me. So, as he said, he was very famous for chanting this. You'll have to excuse me, I maybe never used one of these before, and I can't read through the back of my head, so I've got to press forward on my computer because it has been transferred to that computer. I'm used to working off of this one. So I've got to press them both simultaneously and hope that it's the same on both. So this, of course, we're familiar with. We'll just chant for a couple of 1 minute or two. And you're welcome to join in. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is called the Maha Mantra, which means the great. Maha means great, mantra means, it's like a prayer, particularly that which purifies our heart and delivers the mind from anxiety and so on, but most important of all, awakens our remembrance of our spiritual identity and our relationship with God. So this mantra is said to have descended from the spiritual world, Golokara Premadonna Harinama Sankirtan. It has come directly from the kingdom of God and is none different than God himself. Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. The chanting of the names of the God, of Lord is none different than himself. It has the same power and potency as the Supreme Lord himself. And anyone who comes in contact with it is getting, to a certain degree, is getting the association of God. They get benefited tremendously. And in this age that we're living in, it's called the age of Kali. It means the age of quarrel. And we don't have to look far to see where quarreling goes on. Goes on every level. The age of hypocrisy. The age of materialism. So it's said in this age, Kali Kaler Namarupa Krishna Avatar, that Krishna appears in this age as the form of the name. It's called the Yugadharma, Kali Kaler Harinam. Sankirtan is the Dharma for this age of Kali. Harinam Sankirtan, chanting the holy names, is the recommended means of self-realization or God-realization in this age. So Haridas Thakur specifically appeared for that purpose. We're going to offer a few respectful prayers first to Haridas Thakur. We can turn off the lights, please. Off all the lights. You can hardly see anything. It's just a blur. It's a bit better. Any of the lights can go off? Those spotlights can go off for the time being, maybe. Those not the lights inside, but the spotlights up there, they could go off. I don't know who's in charge of that. They're very powerful. Namami Haridasam Tang Chaitanyam Tang Chapat Prabhum Sangstitam Apiyan Murting Svanke Kritva Nanartaya. It's very squeaky. Is it always like this? Squeaky? This kind of throws me off of it. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Haridas Thakur and his master, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who danced with the body of Haridas Thakur on his lap. One should strictly follow the easy path, which the previous Mahajans, that means great personalities, have accepted. That path bestows great auspiciousness and is devoid of all misery. People are always trying to avoid misery in this world, naturally, because our nature is Anandamaya Vyasat. We're always pleasure-seeking. Our actual nature is to be Ananda, full of happiness. But in contact with the material world, we get mixed results. We're always trying to avoid the miserable side or the negative side of life. But whatever we try to do, it's not going to solve it in the material world, because everything is temporary. Everything has a temporary, let's say, form and effect in the material world. People come and go, things come and go, and we have our karma, which is the laws of nature, action and reaction, which we're reaping the results of. As you sow, so you shall reap. So we're all getting it. And it just comes. No matter what we do, we have our happiness and distress in the material world. It's a world of duality. It's a shashvatam dukkaliyam. It's the world of dukkha. It's the world where suffering is unavoidable. And it's a temporary, a shashvatam, temporary place. So no matter what we try, it's only a temporary relief. So the great souls, they give a path, they give a process whereby we can get complete relief. It's like being in a prison. Relief in a prison is not just to make it a comfortable place, but it's to get out of it. So the process of self-realization is not to get out of it in the way most people think, but it's to get out of it in consciousness. We may still be living in this world, but we're no longer a part of it as such. As Jesus Christ himself says, We're in the world, but not of it. The soul has nothing really to do with this world. We're just temporarily in this world, trying to fulfill our desires. The Lord has given us this facility called the material world as a playground. Like children, you give them a playground to play in. It's not their permanent situation. But they play there because that's their level of consciousness. The parents, they do not play unless they're there with the children. But for that time is what they need and what they want. So similarly, this material world is given to us by God to facilitate our desires. And the way we relate to this material world determines what type of happiness and distress we get. So all the scriptures of the world are there to give us guidance to behave better in relationship with the material world and gradually awaken our remembrance of our real business, which is service, Jivesvarupai Nichara Krishna Das, service to God. So these great souls, they give this path. It may be different in different countries at different times in terms of the detail, but the principle is the same. It's a path, as Jesus Christ said, you have to follow my way. It's the same way they all teach. It may be different in details, going to different time and circumstance, but the way is actually the same. They're giving the way whereby we can wake up, come to our spiritual understanding, and realize that we are eternal servants of God. By discussing the path of these previous sadhus, which means saintly people, one gets determination. We already mentioned that, didn't we? Courage and satisfaction. And that's what we just said just now. So we'll move on. I didn't realize it was there. I believe this is an old, I couldn't find the latest one, which I have. I think this is the old one. Anyway, it'll do. Are we on the next one now? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu derives great pleasure from glorifying his devotees. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the form of a devotee who appears in this world to disseminate or spread this chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. He appeared about 500 years ago for this purpose. It's an eternal mantra, but it was not made public until 500 or so years ago. He gets great pleasure from glorifying his devotees, just like a parent gets great pleasure from glorifying his children, glorifying those things which we like. And among the devotees, Haridas Thakur is the foremost. The transcendental qualities of Haridas Thakur are innumerable and unfathomable. One may describe a portion of them, but to count them all is impossible. In the Chaitanya Mangalas, another scripture, the first quote is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is from Chaitanya Mangala. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has described the attributes of Haridas Thakur to some extent. Don't waste cups. There's 2 cups. You could have had 1. No one can describe all the qualities of Haridas Thakur. One may say something about them just to purify himself. An amazing thing, by speaking the good qualities of somebody who has good qualities, we become purified. Tendency in this material world, we like to speak about our own good qualities and the qualities of those perhaps related to us materially. But in general, we're very attached to our own qualities. We don't think that, the better process, the mode of goodness is to look for the good in others and not always trying to see the good in ourselves. Of course, that's also there, if there is any. Well, always something at least. I assure you that one who simply chants the name of Haridas without offense will certainly attain the abode of Krishna. Pretty, let's say, amazing benediction. Without offense, purity. It means without any material motive, without any desire to, let's say, merge into the impersonal Brahmajyoti and so on and so forth, but with pure devotion. What to speak of his touch? Just by seeing Haridas, one is released from the bondage of fruitive activities, released from karma, that means. Indeed, even if one sees a person who has taken shelter of Haridas, he is free from material bondage. Everyone, whether elevated or wretched, automatically forgets, am I on the right page or not? Okay, I'm confused. At the right page now? Sorry about that. Remember to do 2 things at once here. You can just glance over that. Indeed, even if one sees a person who has taken shelter of Haridas, he is freed from material bondage. Everyone, whether elevated or wretched, automatically forgets about mundane life when he sees the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur. So these are just some introductory things just so that we understand it. How wonderful it is to hear about great persons, whoever, Haridas Thakur. In other religions we have Jesus Christ and so many others, great saintly persons who come in this world just to give us their mercy, or God's mercy through them. We get blessings just by hearing about them. What to speak of following their instructions. The problem is we don't like to follow the instructions sometimes. But we still get benefited just by hearing about them, as long as we don't commit offenses. One who sees Haridas dancing is famous for dancing. We mentioned yesterday at the Rath Yatra that one of Lord Chaitanya's chief dancers at the festivals was Haridas Thakur. He was 70 plus years of age at that time, physically. When Haridas dances, Lord Krishna personally dances. It's like a parent sometimes, when they see their child dance, they also start dancing. They feel so happy. Thus the whole universe can be purified by seeing his dance. When we dance, I don't know who again, nobody gets purified, but when a pure devotee dances, everyone gets purified. It's like when our spiritual master danced for 2 hours at the London Rath Yatra in 1973. The whole of London became purified. They all saw it. It was all over the newspapers and everywhere else. Prabhupada dancing. His name, Haridas, is appropriate, for Lord Krishna constantly dwells in his heart. He is affectionate to all living entities, and he is always engaged. Am I on the right page? Is that right? And he is always engaged in their welfare. He accompanies the Lord whenever he incarnates. That means whenever the Lord incarnates, he comes with him. So those who are familiar with Haridas Thakur, you'll find some strange statements here, on and off, which will confuse you. I will try to put some light on them as we go along. Whenever the Lord incarnates, in other words, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, does appear within his material energy from time to time for various purposes, and specifically to establish religious principles, but specifically to help people to understand what the goal of life is. So he sends his representative. But here he says, whenever he personally appears, Haridas comes with him. He is never offensive to Lord Vishnu, another name of Krishna, or the Vaishnavas, the devotees of Krishna. And even in a dream, he does not deviate from the proper path. One who associates with Haridas for even a fraction of a moment will certainly attain shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Now here's a statement which will make some of you wonder. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva always desire to associate with a devotee like Haridas. Kind of interesting. And we'll mention a bit more about that in a minute. Why is that a little strange, that statement? Who can say? What is strange about that statement? Can you hear anything I'm saying? Maybe you can't hear anything, I don't know. Can you hear at the back? You're at the front. You're not at the back. Can you hear or not? Sure. Why is that statement strange? Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. They're two great personalities. They're called demigods. They're like assistants of God to help manage this universe. Sometimes people may call them like, I don't know what they call them. They're not angels exactly, but they're like universal directors, like a king or a president has his ministers. They're like ministers. So they want to associate with a devotee like Haridas. So what is strange about that? Yeah, but that's not, that may be so. But why am I saying specifically is something strange there? Well, that's it. You got it. Usually we hear that Lord Brahma is Haridas Thakur, but here we see Lord Brahma wants to associate with Haridas Thakur. Isn't that a little strange? We'll hear more about it in a minute. Is the next one come on? People who would gather around him just to see the unrestricted tears of Krishna prema that flowed profusely from his eyes, drenching his entire body. Even the strictest atheist marveled at his behavior. Horripilation swelled across his body, shivering, hairs on end. Like thousands of blooming flowers And even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva were amazed by his devotion. Again, we see the same basic statement. Thakur Haridas was the actual knower of the transcendental mellows related with Krishna. And he is the principal teacher for understanding Rasa Shastra, or literature filled with the transcendental mellows related with Krishna. Another very strange statement. I mean, not strange for those who know, but it's strange if you only hear a bit. Mahabhakta Haridas Thakur Jaya Jaya Haridas Sarnarene Sarva Papakshai. All glories to the great devotee Haridas Thakur. By remembering Haridas, all one's sinful reactions are vanquished. There's a deity of Haridas Thakur. This is in, if you've been to Jagannath Puri, you may have been to a place called Siddhabakwal, and that's the place where Haridas Thakur was residing for a long time. And now there's a deity of him there. This is the deity. Beautiful deity. Haridas Thakur, now, okay, we're going to start getting now to a bit of the tattva of Haridas. Is a combined incarnation of Brahma Mahatapa, the son of Ruchika Muni, and Prahlad. The respected Murari Gupta, whose disappearance date is today, has written in his Chaitanya Charita Mahakavya that this Muni's son picked a tulsi leaf and offered it to Krishna without having washed it first, so be careful. Of course, it's not bad if you take birth as Haridas Thakur, but don't take the risk. Now, it's a small thing. This is not what we're going to talk about, don't worry. His father then cursed him to become a mlecha in his next life, born in a low-class family meat eater or whatever it was. He was thus born as Haridas, a great devotee. Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm not exactly going to go back. I'm going to go forward. But I'll talk about the back. This is a quote from Prema Vivarta. When it comes to chanting, this is what he's most famous for. He's known as Nama Acharya. Now, Acharya means teacher, Nam, teacher of the name. Lord Chaitanya personally declared him as the Nama Acharya for this Sankirtan movement. When it comes to chanting, the topmost devotee is Srila Haridas Thakur, and it was he who propagated the supreme truth about the holy name. He preached as well as practiced chanting the holy name. Hence he is the Acharya of the holy name, or the Nama Acharya. Whoever chants the Lord's name, following in Srila Haridas Thakur's footsteps, will achieve the highest perfection in it. To the bounce back now, it mentioned there he's the actual knower of Rasa Tattva. He's the one who can deliver Krishna Prema. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, they want to associate with him. Now this is very interesting. Okay, he may be Brahma Mahatapa, who was a son of Ruchika Muni, but that is not all that he is. Now there's a very interesting pastime. Of course, we all know the pastime in the Krishna. No, we don't all know it, but most of you know the pastime of Brahma when he stole the cow boys and calves. This pastime from the Srimad Bhagavatam, ancient scripture, how he tried to steal Krishna's coward boys and calves. It's a whole long story there, and we haven't got time, unfortunately, to tell much of it. But anyway, after that was all over and he came to his senses, he then went to, Lord Brahma then went to Navadvip, and a holy place, and there he performed austerity to try to atone for his offense. And he was praying to the Lord to please deliver me from all pride. I want to be free of all pride. So whilst he was praying like that and meditating on the Lord appeared to him and assured him, yes, you will take birth. When I appear in my next form as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you will also appear with me. You will be born in a Muslim family, and your name will be Haridas. He initiated him there and then with the name Haridas. And he said, you will chant 300,000 names a day. He gave him his spiritual practice. That took place thousands and thousands of years before Lord Chaitanya appeared. So he was already initiated directly by Krishna with the name Haridas. Now there's another pastime in the Srimad Bhagavatam which is very interesting, and it refers to the appearance of Nanda and Yasoda. Nanda and Yasoda, the mother and father of Krishna, they serve God in the form of a mother and father, loving relationship. When they appeared, it said that they performed austerities with Adrona and Dara in their previous lifetime. Not so much austerities, but they just engaged in devotional service with the desire to become the mother and father of Krishna. Now, who can become the mother and father of God? Nobody really. But he allows devotees to have that feeling of devotion or love towards him as a mother loves the child. Love of God can manifest in any positive way and negative way also. So one of the most intense positive ways is the love of a parent for the child. So God can also take that role to reciprocate that loving exchange. So they wanted to become mother and father. So it's then said that then he appeared as Nanda and Yasoda. Now what is that? Nanda and Yasoda are the eternal mother and father of Krishna. How is it that? Well, it's explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam that Nanda and Yasoda expanded themselves as Drona and Dara. And when they actually appeared, when Krishna appeared as his mother and father, they merged back into their original forms. That's what it means. They didn't become exactly, they merged back in. It's a little like that Haridas Thakur is an eternal, confidential associate of the Lord. Lord Brahma does not, of course we have Brahma Samhita, that's one thing, but generally speaking, we understand Lord Brahma is Aishwarya Bhav, reverential worship of God. He's not in the mood of Madhurya Ras. But here we see that Haridas Thakur is the topmost exponent of Madhurya Ras. It doesn't compute. The reason being, well, we can't confirm that except for reading from one of the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. I did a kind of fairly comprehensive study on Haridas Thakur once with the intention of compiling a book. But my godbrother Rupa Vilas Prabhu was already in the middle of doing it, so I was already in the middle too, but we conferred and we left it in his capable hands to produce the book Namacharya, far more capable than I. But the point being that Haridas Thakur is not just an ordinary jiva. He's not just Lord Brahma, he's much more than that. We're seeing him, he's even more than that. But he's an eternal, confidential associate of the Lord who sometimes appears in different forms to serve the Lord, and when the Lord personally comes, they may enter back into the form of Haridas. Another aspect of his association, the material world, is generally seen as a physical thing. Association amongst pure devotees is not. It is a subtle thing. They can associate on the subtle platform. So Lord Brahma wants that subtle association of that pure personality, Haridas Thakur, so he may also develop. Because there are many Brahmas. There's not only one Brahma. There are countless Brahmas in each universe and through the course of time. So sometimes it's not always the same, it's never the same person who takes the role of Brahma anyway. It's a post, like president. You're going to change your president very soon here in America. It's not like, who are you? I'm Mr. President, only for a few moments, and someone else comes along. Otherwise, you're Mr. Obama, whoever it may be. So similarly, Brahma is a post. So again, that's another angle of it. And there are different Brahmas at different times. But besides that, even if the Brahma is not an expansion of Haridas, even if that's not the case, that Brahma wants to enter into the association of Haridas to get his association. So become purified by his association. So he enters subtly into the form of Haridas Thakur. Is it gone to the next one? Which one are you on now? Yeah. The 20th branch of the Chaitanya tree was Haridas Thakur. His character was wonderful. He used to chant the holy name of Krishna 300,000 times a day without fail. That's a lot of chanting. That's 192 rounds the beads. Around the Japamala, approximately 190 or so times around the beads. It takes for most of us about 25 hours. Pretty hard when you've only got 24 in a day. But it's usually maybe less, but anything like 24 hours or so to do that. He hardly slept. Certainly the chanting of 300,000 holy names of the Lord is wonderful. No ordinary person can chant so many names, nor should one artificially imitate Haridas Thakur's behavior. It is essential, however, that everyone fulfill a specific vow to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Therefore, we have prescribed in our society that all our students must chant at least 16 rounds daily. Such chanting must be offenseless in order to be of high quality. Mechanical chanting is not as powerful as chanting of the holy name without offenses. So Prabhupada here, as Birsha Master says it, offensive chanting means mechanical chanting rather means offensive chanting. That's the meaning of mechanical. It can be any one of the different types of offenses. We haven't got time to get into it tonight. But that's what it means. So we have to try to avoid the offenses when we chant the holy names of the Lord. It's not just some let's say, pronunciation aspect is the actual motivation with which we chant, which makes it mechanical or offenseless. Because we're not very, we haven't got pronunciation and this and that. They're not so important. We try our best. The main thing is the attitude, the consciousness in which we serve. This is a deity of Haridas Thakur, I believe. Yeah, it is. A deity of Haridas Thakur. Some of you know Chandramouli Swami. Many, probably all of you know him. Those who, not all, but most of you. And you may know Madhava Prabhu, the famous Kirtaniya. And they have deities like this. Beautiful deity. And very small. You can see those are grapes on the right side as you look at it. I don't know what the other ones are, but lemon, I think, on the left. And some fruits are there. It's a very small deity, tiny, tiny deity. But very beautifully carved. This is not a very good resolution, I'm afraid, but if you get a good resolution, it's really fine, amazing deity. I downloaded it from the internet, this one. And here's another deity. There's another one saying maybe the other devotee is the deity. This is Haridas. Look how small those beads are. He's a tiny deity. He's holding those beads. Beautiful deity of Haridas Thakur. Reminding us, just like when we love somebody, we like to see their picture. What's the problem? I don't know what the problem people have when they see a picture of somebody you love. If you love God, then we'd love to see a picture of God. We'd love to see a form of God. We'd love to see something that reminds us of God. Just as we would with our children. People carry pictures of their children in their wallet. If you say to them, oh, that's not your child, that's just a piece of paper. Are you nuts? That's my son, that's my daughter. That's my wife, that's my husband. No, it's not, you idiot. That's just a piece of paper. But it is a piece of paper, but as far as you're concerned, it is, it's your son. It's completely in your heart. The same effect as when you see them. It is in the heart that we experience relationships, not external. People are so materialistic. They don't understand. It's in the heart that you see God, not outside. And when we see the deity of the Lord, or we see a picture of the Lord, then it reminds, in our heart we feel His presence. Same deity, beautiful deity. As I haven't really edited this. Dasapa, this is one of my favorite verses. Dasaparadayena hridayena pase, kripakari Mahaprabhu majinama rase. O Mahaprabhu, please be merciful to me so that the 10 offenses never touch my heart, and I can always remain absorbed in the rasa of the holy name. This is by Haridas Thakur. Beautiful prayer. I mean, if you want some help while chanting Hare Krishna, we have to call for help. It's not just plowing on mindlessly. We have to call to those whose minds are focused on Krishna for help. Those who are absorbed in the actual relationship with Krishna. So this Haridas Thakur, topmost of all the devotees of the Lord. Now, can you see this one? It's quite small, I'm sorry. Haridas Thakur used to chant the holy name on his beads 300,000 times. Throughout the entire day and night, he would chant the 16 names of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. One should not, however, imitate Haridas Thakur, for no one else can chant the holy name 300,000 times a day. Such chanting is for the Mukta Purush, or the liberated souls. We can follow his example, however, by chanting 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra on beads every day, and offering respect to the Tulsi plant. This is not at all difficult for anyone, and the process of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with a vow before the Tulsi plant, we might get time. If we don't get time to hear about this, because we're short on time, Tulsi plant is applied, I don't know if we got one here, but they're a special plant, and for people who think they're the body, it's completely bewildering. People who think, I am the body, it's hard for them to understand, because the soul is not human. We've got a human form, but the soul is beyond this material body. The soul occupies the body. And the soul within a plant is the same quality as the soul within a human. It just has a different body, which has different facilities and capabilities. But people who identify themselves with the body, it's impossible to understand, almost impossible, how one can relate with a plant, and that plant can be a pure devotee of the Lord. But this Tulsi plant is said to be a pure devotee of Krishna. This is not difficult because she has come into this world, this plant, to give us that association so we can chant Hare Krishna in her presence and become purified. Not at all difficult, Prabhupada says. The chanting of Hare Krishna mantra with a vow before the tulsi plant has such great spiritual potency that simply by doing this one can become spiritually strong. Therefore we request the members of the Hare Krishna movement to follow Haridas Thakur's example rigidly. Chanting 16 rounds does not take much time, nor is offering respect to the tulsi plant difficult. The process has immense spiritual potency. One should not miss the opportunity. This is Haridas Thakur. He would chant in front of a tulsi plant. There's a tulsi plant there in the middle of the picture. There's Haridas Thakur on the left, and there's Hirabai, Lakshira Hirabai, lying down on the floor. Now, what's going on here? This is a fascinating pastime. And this pastime involves when Haridas was very young. He appeared in the world 36 years before Lord Chaitanya in a place called Burun in Bangladesh. What we now call Bangladesh. It wasn't there then. It was just part of Bengal. So he appeared. It's not far from the West Bengal border, near the forest of Benapole. And Haridas Thakur appeared in a Muslim family, but he said he left home very, very young. Very, very young. And he went to this forest, and he started chanting 300,000 times a day on his beads. He had got beads from somewhere. There's no mention of him meeting a sadhu, a saintly person, and nothing is recorded in any of the histories. It's quite likely he did, but there's no mention of it. So he was sitting in this forest, chanting day and night, and 300,000 times a day. Now this is like 25 years before Mahaprabhu appeared in the world. So he was already doing that, way before. 'Cause as you may have heard earlier on, he got initiated 4,000 or 5,000 years ago by the Lord, who told him what to do there and then. So he's already doing it. And there was one, Ramachandra Khan, he was a local landowner, a very powerful person in the area who was very envious of him. He's a Hindu. He was very envious of Haridas because Haridas was born in a Muslim family and now so many people were respecting him. And he thought, what is this? He thought he should be respected. Why are they respecting this low-class man? So he tried to defame him, and he called all the prostitutes in the greater area and offered them a vast amount of money if they would cause Haridas to fall down from his spiritual platform or whatever it was, or just to expose him. Nobody agreed except for this one Hirabai. She was the most expensive. She was Lakahira. Lakahira means you have to pay 100,000 rupees, whatever. Huge amount of money in those days, and phenomenal. So he was willing to pay that. He said, you go there and tempt him. So she did. She went there the first night. She went there to try to tempt Haridas. But Haridas was busy chanting day and night. Then she came there. She started to expose her body in front of Haridas. And Haridas said, my dear lady, please kindly wait, because I am very busy right now. I have made a vow to chant 1 billion names in this month. I have not yet finished, but I will finish very soon. And when I finish, whatever you wish of me, I will fulfill. So she was confident he would succumb to her. She stayed there all night, but it didn't finish. She got tired. She went back home. Came back again the next day. Same thing happened. This time Haridas said, I'm sure, my dear lady, that tonight I will finish. She went back and told Ramchandra Khan. Ramchandra Khan got excited. And she said, well, as soon as I tempt him, you can bring your men and arrest him. So he went back. She went back the next night, and Haridas was chanting all night long, non-stop. She paid her obeisances, because although she was a prostitute, she was also a very pious devotee of the Lord. And she paid her obeisances, but she got completely affected over the period of time by his chanting. She also started chanting along with him. And by the time the morning came, he finished his 1 billion names. He said to her, so now I have finished, ask from me what you want. And she fell on the floor, offering her obeisances, begging forgiveness, and threw everything at his feet, and said, please forgive me, please purify me. He said, yes, I know exactly why you're here, don't worry. I know you were sent here 3 days ago by Ramchandra Khan. I would have left here 3 days ago if you hadn't come. But because you came, I stayed here, and now, if you really want, you stay here now, and you carry on here, I'm leaving. You stay here and chant 300,000 names of the Lord. I've got other pictures, I don't know, maybe they'll come up in that. 300,000 names of the Lord every day. Prabhupada writes here to Gargamuni, It is the duty of the male members to be very steady and cautious. This can be done by regular chanting like Haridas Thakur did. Whenever there is a young woman, we should remember Haridas Thakur and beg his mercy to protect us. And we should think that these beautiful gopis, these girls, are meant for the enjoyment of Krishna. And there's Haridas Thakur leaving his kutir after converting the prostitute, if you want to call it that, leaving her behind. She's no longer a prostitute, of course, she's a pure devotee. That was just a temporary occupation. And he's leaving, and there she is chanting. Now, a lot of devotees think that this is Haridas. This is not Haridas Thakur, this is Hirabai, the prostitute who came to Haridas Thakur and got purified. And there's a whole picture of the two. It's not that one, but there is a whole picture of the two, which shows them together with Haridas, which is, I guess it's that one. Yep, that's Haridas. And this is the Hirabai, who is now a pure devotee. She stays there for the rest of her life, chanting 300,000 names a day. So just to let you know, on the front cover of Namanrita, I believe it is, you'll see this picture, but that's not saying anything wrong in that, but that's not Haridas Thakur. A lot of devotees think it is. I've even seen it on so many websites, Haridas Thakur websites and all sorts of things, as being Haridas, but it's not. Here we see the deity. There's the Hirabai. This is in that place in Benapur with Haridas. Hirabai on the left. That's the temple there in Benapur. Now there's a temple there. Now we're going to move on. There's lots of pastimes. We haven't got them all in there yet. As I say, this is not the full edition by any means. This is just skipping over. After Haridas left, he left that place. He went to what we now call West Bengal. He moved around. He met Advaita Acharya, who was also very senior, even older. Advaita appeared 50 years before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he met Advaita Acharya in Shantipur district. He also went to I'm going to go back because that's not, I have no choice. There's no slide in between. And he also spent time in the house of Hiranya and Govardhan Majumdar. And there, of course, is a famous pastime of Gopal Chakravarti, one Brahmin assistant of Govardhan and Hiranya Majumdar. Their priest, Balaram Acharya, had invited Haridas Thakur there to speak on Nam Tattva, the chanting of the holy names. So Haridas Thakur was speaking on the chanting of the holy names in their house. Interestingly enough, in that house also, see, the son of Govardhan Majumdar was Raghunath Das. So Haridas Thakur was like the spiritual master of Raghunath Das. He taught him as a child Krishna, all about Krishna and the holy name. So when he was a young boy, just a small kid. So anyway, during that conversation with Gopal Chakravarti, Haridas Thakur brought up the fact that simply by namabhas, that means impure chanting, but not offensive, just, inattentive or whatever it is, chanting of the holy name, one can attain liberation. So this Gopal Chakravarti was rather a proud Brahmin, and he got angry. He said, "This is nonsense," he said. "What type of nonsense is this man talking?" This has nothing to do with this picture, by the way. This is another pastime, and he's telling another pastime. So what type of nonsense is this man? He's low-class man has come here talking all nonsense. Where in the scripture does it say this? It takes lifetimes of practice before you can attain liberation from this world. Haridas quoted many verses from scripture saying that by namabhas one can attain liberation. But he had nothing of it. "I don't believe all this nonsense," he said. I say to you, Haridas, if it is not possible to attain liberation by this namabhas chanting, I will cut off your nose, he said. So Haridas Thakur said, "Oh, actually, this is this picture." Yeah, I'm sorry. My mind was jumping ahead. This is the picture. This is that Gopal Chakravarti. And he said, "I will cut off your nose." Well, maybe it isn't. I don't know what this is, actually. Weird. Anyway, whatever it is. "I will cut off your nose." And so then everyone was shocked. And Haridas Thakur said, "My dear sir, you don't have to cut off my nose. If it's not possible, I will cut my own nose off." So then everyone got shocked, and they chased this Gopal Chakravarti out of the arena. They dismissed him immediately. And then Haridas said, "Don't take anything of it. He's just a young inexperienced boy. I take no offense whatsoever. Please do not think badly of this. Anyway, the story goes, a long story, we won't tell the rest of it. Next one, has it gone forward? Has it gone forward?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go back. Has it gone back? So my understanding of this is not that pastime at all, because there's no Brahmin. That's certainly not a Brahmin there with a sword. This is the Kazi. And Haridas Thakur, after that pastime, then he moved to Shantipur district, and Advaitacharya gave him a place to reside in a place called Pulia. Pulia is an area near Shantipur in Bengal, and there Haridas Thakur resided in, sometimes it's said in a cave, sometimes it's said a hollow of a tree. But he resided there, basically speaking, and so many people were coming and taking shelter of him. Even persons from high-class Brahmin families, Muslim people, all kinds of people were coming to get his association. Now this came to the attention of a local Qazi, Muslim Qazi. A Muslim Qazi is like a magistrate, local magistrate, who basically is in charge of the local area. So he came there very angry that many Muslim people were becoming, in his mind anyway, Hindu. There's no such thing really as Hindu or Muslim. These are just temporary designations. But as far as persons on the temporary body platform, they consider like this. So he came there like that. And he was really angry. And he wanted immediately that this Haridas Thakur should be arrested. So he called the king. Maybe this is the king. I don't know how to find out. Some research is required on this picture. He called the king, and the king came there and arrested him. They took him away, and they brought him to the court of the Nawab. This is the Nawab, the king of Bengal, and that's Haridas there being escorted to his court to be judged. His crime is that he's born a Muslim and he's converting people to Hinduism. So there's a serious crime punishable by death only. So he's brought there, and the king is talking to him, and they have quite a conversation. This is another painting of the same. I had this painting done in Jagannath Puri about 10 years ago, doing a whole series of paintings. You can't see it in its full glory there. It's a very colourful painting. And that's not the whole of it, that's only a part of it. Of Haridas Thakur being brought before the Nawab, the king of Bengal, to be tried. And anyway, Haridas Thakur came there, and the king looked at him. He could see he was a very effulgent person. He didn't really want to punish him, but he thought, well, what to do? And then he had a conversation. Why is it that, my dear sir, that you were born a Muslim, but you were chanting the Hindu names of God? And then he explained that God is one, and there's no such thing as Hindu or Muslim names. God is God. He's not Hindu or Muslim. What you understand the name of God in Muslim is the same God that we understand that people understand in Hindu or any other religion. There's only one God. So what difference does it make? We're chanting this one or that one. This is false understanding to make such discrimination. The king was taken aback. He gave so many wonderful statements, and the king was a little bit impressed. But the Nawab, not the Chan Qazi, it's a different Qazi. The Qazi was very angry. He wasn't appeased at all. He said, well, if that's what he's saying is true, then let him speak from the Quran and stop this nonsense. So the king, naturally being a Muslim, said, yes, okay, I agree with that. Why don't you simply pray, if it's all the same, then why don't you just preach from the Quran? So Haridas Thakur, he said, no, we don't have it here, it doesn't look like anyway. Maybe we do. Anyway, he said to the king, he said, are we back there? No, yes, no. He said to the king that you may do whatever you like, but I will never stop chanting the names of Krishna. You may cut my body into 10,000 pieces, or as you wish, but I will never stop chanting Krishna's names. So the king looked at the Qazi. There were many Qazis around him, many magistrates. They're like the judges, like they're on the panel. And they decide that Haridas Thakur should be beaten to death for his offenses. So they dragged him off. Hey, oh, what happened there? Hey, where are we? What's this? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Oh, dear. Excuse me. I'm not familiar with this. There we go. They dragged him off into the marketplace, and they started to beat him. He was actually dragged. He wasn't walking. He was dragged through the marketplace, and they're beating him like anything. and the Hindus are trying to stop it, and the Muslim guards are pushing them away. They went from marketplace to marketplace. The ways of his good qualities were like those of Prahlad Maharaj. He did not even slightly raise an eyebrow when persecuted by the Muslim ruler. He didn't raise an eyebrow. Now here we see Prahlad Maharaj is also described, and I think is in the Gorganadesh Deepika, that Haridas Thakur is Prahlad Maharaj. Now what that means is, in a sense, is that at this particular point of time, being beaten like this is Prahlad Maharaj's presence. Prahlad Maharaj is present, just like he was tortured by Hiranyakashipu. Same, it's a potency. They are the internal expansions of the Lord who possess certain qualities, who expand when the Lord expands to assist him in his pastimes, just like Haridas does, Prahlad also does, when necessary. They're not stayed like an ordinary jiva. They can expand along with the Lord to perform those particular kind of pastimes, or the particular opulence manifest in personification when required. So similarly, Prahlad appears at this point of time to take that beating, that potency of the Lord, to take that beating. Even if my body, we've mentioned it, and I lose my life, I will never give up chanting the Lord's holy name. O Krishna, please be merciful upon these poor souls, referring to the guards who are beating him. Kindly excuse them for their offense of torturing me. Maintaining this type of determination and being compassionate to all living entities, while always chanting the holy name of Krishna, is the path of devotional service exhibited by the previous Mahajans. That's the path. Determination and compassion to all living entities, even those who hate us, even those who completely deny everything. Devotee has no enemy. He's a friend to all. And he simply has compassion for the benefit of every living entity, not just humans, all living entities. Nirantara Namalao, as they were dragging him through the streets. In a book called Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur states that this is the main lesson to be learned from the pastimes of Haridas Thakur. Nirantara Namalao. Always chant the holy name of Krishna, or chant continuously. And he was continuously chanting. The Hindus are crying and screaming, and the Muslim guards are beating him like anything. If one simply remembers the name of Haridas, not to mention his terrible ordeal at the hands of the Muslims, one becomes freed from one's own pain and misery. Most certainly, Srila Haridas Thakur is one of the closest and most important associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Chandra. So simply remember Haridas when you're in misery or pain. But that doesn't just mean remember, it means remembering what he did. Nirantara Namalao, always chanting the holy names of Krishna. Haridas was born in a low-class family, just as Prahlad was born in a demoniac family and Hanuman was born in a monkey family. The demigods desire the touch of Haridas, and even Mother Ganga desires that Haridas immerse in her waters. I'm going to go back one slide, 2 slides. So after this pastime of him being beaten, they dragged him in 22 marketplaces, and that was the end of the town. They were flabbergasted. The guards didn't know what to do. This man has not died. He is simply smiling and chanting. What are we going to do? They started to almost cry out of frustration. And as I say, I haven't prepared, so I can't remember if this slide is also there. I'll say it anyway. But Haridas Thakur was as if nothing had ever happened. He was completely composed. And they were like exhausted. Haridas, Haridas, please, please. I said, what do you want? Please die. Please die. I said, why? He said, otherwise our master may kill us for not killing you. Oh, why didn't you tell me before? If my living causes you pain, I would die immediately, he said. So he appeared to die on the spot after 22 marketplaces. He went into such a samadhi, that means internalization of consciousness, that even his blood stopped moving, his breath stopped moving. He held it all in suspense. He was in complete internal samadhi, they call it. Very rarely attained. So they thought he was dead. They took him back to the Qazi. The Qazi was, and then to the Nawab, the king. They were excited that he's died. They killed him. Okay, said the king. Now bury him. He's dead. The Qazi said, no, no, no. He has become a sinful person, an outcast. What do they call them? Outcast, the Muslims, what they call it? Outcasts? What do the Muslims call outcasts? Huh? Infidel, something like that, whatever it is. Outcast. He should not get a proper burial like a pious Muslim. He should be thrown into the Ganga so that he may go to hell with all the other Hindus, he said. So they tried, but they couldn't. They tied balls and chains on him and tried to throw him in. They couldn't move him. He wouldn't move an inch. Eventually he agreed. 20, 30 men had to pick him up and throw him in the Ganga. So they thought that's the end of him. But this verse here, next verse, this one. The demigods desire the touch of Haridas, and even Mother Ganga desires that Haridas immerse in her waters. This was her desire. So now she's getting her desires fulfilled. The whole pastime was orchestrated by the Lord to fulfill the desire of Ganga Devi. She wanted to embrace Haridas. He would never go in the Ganga. He considered himself too fallen. By the supreme will of the Lord, Thakur Haridas appeared in a low-class Muslim family. Generally, human beings desire to become purified by either touching the demigods or taking bath in the Ganga. But what to speak of the demigods headed by Lord Brahma? Even the most sanctified Ganga, who emanates from the lotus feet of Vishnu, desires to become glorious by the touch of Mahabhagavat, Paramahamsa, Vaishnavacharya, Haridas Thakur, who is the representative of all the demigods. They all want his association. Even Ganga Devi wants his association. She wants to embrace him. So now she has her chance. She embraces Haridas, and she then takes him in her embrace. She releases all the balls and chains and puts him right back where he began, back in Puglia. And sure enough, he went back to that kutir in Puglia and started chanting again. Same thing, 300,000 names a day. And all the Brahmins and local people were astonished. They couldn't believe it. There he is again. What's going on? They thought he was dead. And everyone then accepted that he is a saint personified. The king, the Muslim king, heard about it. He came there and he fell at his feet and begged forgiveness and said, you can go and do whatever you like in my kingdom. You are free to do anything you like. And he offered his obeisances to him. The Qazi, there's no such repentance on the Qazi's part, so God knows what happened to him. But the king, he was relieved. And some people asked him, well, why did this happen? Why did you get punished like this? This doesn't make sense. He said, why? I should have been punished more. I'm so sinful. I got off lightly. I heard blasphemy of God in the court of the Qazi, of court of the Nawab. I should have been punished even more. Anyway, he took it like that. There are many pastimes that took place there. Even Maya Devi, the illusory energy, tried to tempt him, and he also initiated her in the chanting of the holy names in this cave. She said, I am the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I came here to test you. I have previously captivated the mind of even Brahma. Not to speak of others, your mind alone have I failed to attract. My dear sir, you are the foremost devotee. Simply seeing you and hearing you chant the holy name of Krishna has purified my consciousness. What to speak of others, even Krishna. Are we on the right page or not? Oh dear, sorry. We're on the right page? No? Yes? No? Okay. What to speak of others, even Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, personally descends to taste the nectar of love of God in the form of chanting Hare Krishna. What is the wonder if the maidservant of Krishna, his external energy, begs for love of Godhead? Without the mercy of a devotee, without the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, love of Godhead cannot be possible. Amazing. Another thing I forgot to mention, when Hirabai became transformed by Haridas's association, that prostitute, she begged for his mercy, and it said that Haridas Thakur gave her Krishna Prema. Someone who doesn't have love of God in its topmost Krishna Prema form cannot give Krishna Prema. He gave her Krishna Prema in the topmost way, in a Madhurya. So obviously he's a Madhurya Bhakta. Another pastime took place there, and that was one time when he was in this, here it's depicted as a cave. Many people would come to see him, but there was a terrible stench in that cave. And so many of them were so disturbed by the smell that they were having a difficulty coming. And then it was ascertained the reason was there was this deadly snake residing in the back of the cave, which was exhaling terrible fumes from its mouth, ghastly fumes. Haridas was not even disturbed by it in the least. So they were all getting disturbed. And Haridas said, oh, all right, then if that's the case, if the snake doesn't leave today, I will leave, just for your sake. And right there and then, this enormous snake, blue, green, yellow, red snake, slithered out of the cave, right in front of everyone. Everyone was shocked. The snake slithered out in front of everyone. It said it'd be some kind of expansion of an antishesh of some kind. Okay, well, they're not really in order here, I don't think. Yes, they are. This is an amazing pastime. They're not actually in order. I've got some editing to do. This is, this is in the house of Srivas Thakur. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is engaged in his Mahapakash pastimes for many days. And he's calling up devotees one after the other, and he's giving them benedictions. He's glorifying them, and he's giving benedictions in his house. Lord Chaitanya then turned his benign glance on Haridas and called out, Haridas, look at me. There's another pastime, I thought that was it, but there's another pastime when he was arrested by the king, and the king threw him in prison first before he took him to trial. And whilst he was in the prison, hundreds and hundreds of Hindus were also locked up in the prison. And they saw Haridas, and they were all ecstatic that they had the association of this great saintly person. So they all begged him, please, please give us your blessings. Please give us your blessings so that we can be released. So Haridas said, I bless you all that you may stay exactly as you are now. They all became totally depressed because they're locked up in a prison. They were expecting him to give blessings, please release us from this prison. He said, stay as you are now. And then they all agreed. And he said, no, don't misunderstand. Right now you're thinking of Krishna. Right now you're not engaged in any activity which will cause you to become entangled in this world. That is my blessing, that you remain ever absorbed in Krishna, thus released from the prison of the material world. So then Lord Chaitanya, he then took his glanced on Haridas and he said, Haridas, look at me. Your body and birth is superior to mine. Your class and caste is more elevated than mine. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying this. He used Haridas Thakur because he wanted to show that anybody, no matter who they are, can become a pure devotee of Krishna. That's why these pastimes took place originally. Even the pastime of Lord Brahma stealing away the calves. And the cows, it's all related. I do not possess any good qualifications. I am sinful, and I'm not even within the Vedic society. This is Haridas speaking. Just seeing me makes a person vulnerable to sin, and touching me makes one so contaminated. Oh, what happened there? Something going wrong? Oh, I'm pressing the wrong one. Excuse me. It's confusing. I'm getting confused. What is this? I don't know. I do not possess any good qualifications. Is that what it says? Oh dear. I don't know if I'm in front or behind. What's it say now? What's it say now? Huh? What's this? Oh. Okay, that's that one. Okay, now here it is. That should be, I do not possess any good qualifications. Now, how do I get that on here? Here we go. I do not possess any good qualifications. I am sinful, and I am not even within the Vedic society. Just seeing me makes a person vulnerable to sin, and touching me makes one so contaminated that he must bathe immediately. How then can I say anything about your divine pastimes? O Lord, I am such a destitute that I do not possess the sweetness of your memory, and yet you have not forsaken me. Although I am unfit to see you, you are present before me in person. I am praying to you now for only one benediction. So this is when he's in the house of Srivas, and the Lord is giving his benedictions. And now before this happened, Lord Chaitanya said, he glorified Haridas as if he had 1,000. I'm just going to make sure it's in here. Okay, no, it's not. So the Lord glorified Haridas Thakur just like he had 1,000 tongues. And nobody else knew about him because he only came into Lord Chaitanya's pastimes when Lord Chaitanya had been 20 years into this world. It's interesting, when Haridas Thakur was living in that cave, at the time when Lord Chaitanya appeared, he then went to Advaitacharya, and both of them had been praying for the Lord to appear. And they both danced together when the Lord appeared. So he knew all about it, but he didn't enter the Lord's pastime until the Lord started his Sankirtan movement. And then he came to Srivas's house, and then the Lord told everyone about him, all of his glories. So then Lord Chaitanya said, Haridas, you remember that time when you were being beaten in the marketplaces by the Muslim guards? The Lord said, at that time, I sent my own personal weapon named Sudarshan Chakra to kill them all. He was so furious that people were harming his devotee. But you would not let my Sudarshan touch any of them. You were praying to please do not punish them in any way. Forgive them and deliver them. You were praying like what my Sudarshan could do, nothing. He came back to me saying, I'm helpless. I've been defeated by Haridas. The Lord said, I had no choice. I personally went there. And I laid my back on your back. I took all of the whips, he said. And then Lord Chaitanya turned around and showed everyone in Srivas Thakur's back, and it was thrash marks all down his back. Everyone was astonished to see this, that the Lord took that beating on his back. Now, Haridas Thakur is known as one who is more tolerant than a tree. A tree tolerates people cutting the tree, cutting it, doing this, that, the other. Haridas was more tolerant, not just tolerating, but he was benedicting at the same time everyone who tried to harm him. He was blessing them with love of God. That was his mercy, blessing them with love of God. What do we do now? Do we finish now or what? What do we do? I mean, we started late. Pardon? Excuse me? Pardon? Continue? Okay. I'll do what you say. And everyone was absolutely astonished to realize what a personality this is. What a personality. Oh Lord, and then he said, oh Lord, I have known only misfortune. Yet, this is Haridas speaking, yet you give me so much hope. Just allow me to partake of the remnants of the food of your devotees who are surrendered to your lotus feet. Let this activity be my permanent and most prominent service, life after life. My sinful birth and existence is miserable, without remembrance of you. But now please make my life successful by granting me the remnants of your servitors. Just see, this is related to the pastime of his interfering with the Lord's lunch on the bank of the Jamuna. Just see the transformation. I feel within my heart that I have committed a grave offense by asking of you to be situated in the elevated status of a Vaishnav, for I am grossly unfit. The sign of a devotee of God is he doesn't think himself. 1. He thinks himself the most fallen and sees everyone else more elevated. O Lord, my Master, protector and maintainer of the entire creation, I am spiritually lifeless. Therefore, kindly forgive my ignorance. He's praying for our sake as well, so we can understand, and he's feeling this, but he's praying for us. O Lord Vishvambar, the beautiful son of Mother Shachi, you are my master, so be merciful to me and keep me as a dog in the house of a Vaishnava. Oh dear, I've lost it again. I don't know where we are. I don't know what's going on here. I must have been pressing the button or something. What's going on? My goodness, we've gone for about 50 slides. Dear. Okay, here we go. There we go. One who hears of this pastime of the Lord and Haridas Thakur with proper faith will certainly enjoy the fruit of Krishna Prema. These words are not my concoction, but the bold declaration of all Scripture. One is sure to experience the bliss of devotional service to Lord Krishna if one lends oral reception to the transcendental activities of the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord. All glories to Haridas Thakur, a giant amongst the Vaishnavas. By remembrance of him, one is freed from all sinful reactions. That's another deity of Haridas Thakur there at Siddhabakul. Looks a little different. They dress him differently, different pose. And he resided then, after Lord Chaitanya left Navadvip, he then went to Jagannath Puri, and Haridas Thakur was crying because he thought, I am not qualified to go to Puri, because in Puri there are many Brahmin priests, and if they just but see me, they'll become contaminated. I will be a great offender. I will not be able to enter the temple. I will not get Mahaprabhu's association again. The Lord assured him, he asked him to come to Puri, but not to worry. He would make an arrangement. This is the entrance of the Puri gate, Singadwara gate. Garuda Stamba. Tell a story about that sometime. And Lord, when he came there, he was very, very humble. He wouldn't come near. He was at a far distance. When the devotees came to Puri, he came with the devotees from Navadvip, but Haridas stayed at a long distance. And the devotee said, that's Haridas Thakur from a long distance, my Lord. The Lord came there embracing Haridas Thakur and brought him forth. And then he gave him a place to reside at this place called Siddhabakul, very close to where Lord Chaitanya was living in Kashi Mishra's house in Gambhira. And he stayed there, and every day Lord Chaitanya would come to see him in this place in Siddhabakul. Many of you have been there, I'm sure. Who's been there to Siddhabakul? Who's been there to Puri, to the Siddhabakul? Quite a few of you. It's a wonderful place. It's so surcharged, spiritually surcharged. And Lord Chaitanya would come every day to see Haridas Thakur, that Siddhabakul tree. And he told Haridas Thakur to sit there under this tree. In fact, Lord Chaitanya created this tree from a stick, a toothpick of Lord Jagannath. He put it in the ground, and this tree grew out of the ground. Bakul tree, powerful Bakul tree. Even one day the king came there to cut it down because it looked like it was suitable for the using of the carts or of the deities, but they couldn't do anything. They tried they were going to cut the tree down, and Haridas Thakur was asking them not to, but they had been ordered to. So they said, well, come back tomorrow and cut the tree down. So the next day they came back, the tree was hollow. There was nothing inside it. It was just bark. And to this very day, it's just bark. It's got nothing inside it. It's just the bark. It's not solid. And the tree grows just to satisfy Haridas Thakur. So Lord Chaitanya would come there every day, and he asked him to stay there and just look at the flag on the chakra on top of Jagannath's temple. It's none different than Jagannath. So he would do that, chanting his japa, looking at the top of the chakra and the flag on top of there. And Lord Chaitanya, sometimes he came there. Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, they'd also come there to associate with Haridas. Whenever they would come to Puri, they would stay with Haridas Thakur and discuss Krishna consciousness, discuss pastimes of Lord Krishna and so on, and wonderful pastimes there. So Lord Chaitanya one time said to Haridas, he said, some behave very well, but do not preach the cult of Krishna consciousness. Oh, wrong one, slide. Oh dear. Oh. I'm just not very good at these sort of things, I'm sorry. Some behave very well, but do not preach the cult of Krishna consciousness, whereas others preach but do not behave properly. You simultaneously perform both duties in relation to the holy name, by your personal behavior and by your preaching. Therefore you are the spiritual master of the entire world, for you are the most advanced devotee in the world. I've got to rush through. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exalted Haridas Thakur. Stating at every moment you take your bath in all the holy places of pilgrimage, and at every moment you perform great sacrifices, austerity and charity. You are constantly studying the 4 Vedas, and you are far better than any Brahmin or sannyasi. Well, he wasn't literally doing that, but it's understood that one who has understood the purpose behind it is doing all of these things. He's doing them all. He's realized, what's the point of austerity? What's the point of study if you don't realize Krishna? If you realize Krishna, what's the need of austerity and study? And there he is, chanting, and in front of, or looking at the dome, looking at the chakrams. So these are his beads. No, they're not. There's his beads. And Haridas Thakur's Japa Mala. And there's the Mahamantra which he chanted. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There's the top of the flag and chakra, Lord Jagannath, Puri. If one cannot complete the fixed number of rounds, Prabhupada says here, that he is assigned, he should be considered to be in a diseased condition of spiritual life. Srila Haridas Thakur is called Namacharya. Of course, we cannot imitate Haridas, but everyone must chant prescribed number of rounds. In our Krishna conscious movement, we have fixed 16 rounds as the minimum, so that the Westerners will not feel burdened. These 16 rounds must be chanted and chanted loudly, so that one can hear himself and others. So Haridas Thakur, he very much recommended this loud chanting. One time when he was in Bengal, he was going out preaching, because the famous story of his preaching with Nityananda and deliverance of Jagai and Madai, but he would preach a lot, because he would chant quite quickly. It said that he chanted 64 rounds loudly, 64 rounds of a Punksu Japa, that means quietly murmuring in the mouth, and 64 Manasika Japa rounds, which is in the mind. And you couldn't hear anything, but he would emphasize for the public 64 loud rounds. And he was in this village called Harinadi one time, and so many people in the village were there, and they were all, but there were some Brahmins, very envious Brahmins, they were arguing with him over, and they also argued over this point. And Haridas Thakur then quoted all these verses about the loud chanting of the holy name, how it benefits people so much more. If you chant silently, only you get the benefit. When you chant loudly, even the non-moving living entities. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu one time asked Haridas Thakur, he said that, Lord Chaitanya was in anxiety. He was feeling anxiety. How to deliver the non-moving living entities? So he asked Haridas Thakur, and Haridas said, "My Lord, do not be in anxiety." Prabhupada said this is how a devotee should feel, to take the anxiety away from the Lord by preaching Krishna consciousness. That's how you relieve the Lord of his anxiety. So Haridas Thakur said, "My Lord, do not be in anxiety. By the loud chanting of the holy names, even the non-moving living entities are delivered." When you hear echo of the holy name, that's the trees and the rocks chanting back, you see. And Lord Chaitanya was very happy with Haridas Thakur, embraced him. Haridas Thakur was a real preacher of Krishna consciousness, spreading the holy names. But he would especially emphasize the loud chanting, because everybody benefits. And if you're chanting Vapanksu Japa or a Manasika Japa, and the mind wanders, who gets any benefit? We don't get any benefit either. Nothing's going on, just a mental concoction, just some, mental speculation going on. But when the loud chanting's going, even if the mind wanders, we still get the benefit of the sound. But it shouldn't be so loud that no one else, not like we're competing, who can chant the loudest. Loud enough to hear, and if somebody comes close, they can hear that you're chanting. But not that we're screaming during japa. If you want to do that, better go out in the forest or up on the mountain or something. And we have to follow the great personalities, Haridas Thakur. He was chanting very loudly. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted very loudly. So what more evidence do you want? My Guru Maharaj chanted loudly. We are chanting loudly. That's from Prabhupada. If someone says we shouldn't chant loudly, just quote them that. And there's Haridas Thakur, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and I think Sanatana Goswami in that kutir. Oh, I've gone forward. So what I'm doing, I'm pressing that and thinking my computer's going to go forward. I've got a few pictures. Again, I've got to edit them and find out where they're all from, of different temples of Haridas Thakur. Some are at Siddhabakal, some are in other places. He would dance at the Rath Yatra. Every year he would attend Rath Yatra and dance like crazy at the Rath Yatra. That's the time, of course, he would get the darshan of Lord Jagannath. Everyone gets the darshan of Lord Jagannath at that time, no matter what one's birth. Everyone can bring offerings, even if they're not Vaishnavas. Everyone can bring an offering before Lord Jagannath. Hundreds and thousands of offerings are placed at Balagandi for the Lord to enjoy. He can do what he likes with the offerings, but everyone's welcome. Haridas Thakur said, oh no, okay, we're going to wind up now. We're just about going to finish. Haridas Thakur said, my dear Lord, but what was happening here? Okay. Lord, he said, my dear Lord, please do not touch me, for I am most fallen and untouchable, and am the lowest among men. The Lord said, I wish to touch you, just to be purified, for your purified activities do not exist in me. These are just summarizing. The Lord was teaching by example how great Haridas, the touch of a devotee, there's nothing greater. Akshnopalam twadusha darshanam hi, denopalam twadusha gatra sangha, that the touch of a devotee, there's nothing more beneficial than the sight of a devotee or the touch of a devotee. They're very rarely attained. The Lord Chaitanya is teaching how great it is to have the chance to touch Haridas just by hearing about him. Time passed on in Jagannath Puri, and Haridas Thakur was getting very old, and he didn't want to see the last pastimes of the Lord. So one day, Lord Chaitanya's servant named Govinda came to Siddhabako. Every day Govinda would come and he would bring Lord Jagannath's Mahaprasadam for Haridas. This day Haridas was lying down and chanting. And Govinda said to Haridas, my dear Haridas, please take prasadam. Haridas said, I cannot take today, I am feeling very sick. I cannot take. So Govinda said, but this is Mahaprasadam. So Haridas touched the Mahaprasadam, offered his obeisances, and took a little particle. And then Govinda left. And informed Lord Chaitanya that Haridas was sick. So next day, Lord Chaitanya came back, and he saw Haridas lying down. And he came to him and picked him up and said, my dear Haridas, please tell me, what is your sickness? I probably got it here. Let me go on to the next one. Okay, I don't know if we got it. We haven't got that one. I'll go back. And Haridas said that, my Lord, my sickness is that I cannot finish my 190 rounds. That is my sickness. He said, but there's nothing wrong, he said, with my body or my mind. The problem is with me. Nothing wrong with my body, the problem is with me. I am not able to finish my rounds. Nothing wrong with my body. The Lord said, my dear Haridas, you have completed your business in this world. You have shown the world how to chant the holy name purely. There is no need for you to continue like this. Then Haridas said, my Lord, do not create an illusion. Although I am so fallen, you must certainly show me this mercy. And no, this is jumping forward, I think. Haridas Thakur said after Lord Chaitanya said you no need to carry on, Haridas Thakur said, my Lord, please do not speak like this. I am the most fallen, the most wretched creature. No one is more fallen than me. And the Lord, anyway, different things were said. My Lord, do not create an illusion. Although I am so fallen, you must certainly show me this mercy. Because Lord Chaitanya asked him, what is it that you want, Haridas? And Haridas said, my Lord, please fulfill my last desire. I do not want to see your last pastimes. I want to leave this world just simply absorbed in the vision of your lotus face, your lotus eyes. Chanting your name, I want to leave my body. And the Lord then said, no, how can I do this? How can I live without you? I cannot live in this world without you, Haridas. And Haridas said, my Lord, do not create an illusion. Although I am so fallen, you must certainly show me this mercy. Oh, where are we? Here we are. Sorry, I'll go back. There's a beautiful painting. There's another one I had commissioned also for painting. And then he said, my Lord, do not create an illusion. Although I am so fallen, you must certainly show me this mercy. My Lord, there are many respectable personalities, millions of devotees who are fit to sit on my head. They are all helpful in your pastimes. My Lord, if an insignificant insect like me dies, what is the loss? If an ant dies, where is the loss to the material world? My Lord, you are always affectionate to your devotees. I am just an imitation devotee. but nevertheless, I wish that you fulfill my desire. That is my expectation. Then Lord Chaitanya, he came back the next day and he said to Haridas, what is the news, Haridas? Haridas said, whatever mercy you bestow upon me, my Lord. Lord Chaitanya then took Haridas in his arms, holding him. Whoops, I'm going. In front of all the great devotees, like Ramananda Roy. Something went wrong there. In front of all the great devotees like Ramananda Roy and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to describe the holy attributes of Haridas Thakur. He's holding him in his arms. Haridas Thakur is holding the lotus feet of the Lord to his chest. As he described the transcendental attributes of Haridas Thakur, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu seemed to possess 5 mouths. The more he described, the more his great happiness increased. After hearing of the transcendental qualities of Haridas Thakur, all the devotees present were struck with wonder. They all offered their respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur. Then, as Haridas Thakur was gazing at the lotus eyes of the Lord, chanting Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, tears were rolling down Mahaprabhu's face from his eyes. Everyone was in total grip of attention, stunned. At that moment, Haridas Thakur left his body. Lord Chaitanya then, Mahaprabhu then picked up the body of Haridas Thakur and ordered kirtan. And everyone started dancing and dancing in ecstasy. Lord Chaitanya danced and danced until Swarup Damodar informed him now was the time to perform the samadhi of Haridas. We can't wait forever. So they carried the body of Haridas Thakur to the ocean in like an aeroplane, not exactly an aeroplane, but in a kind of a big chariot. They carried him to the ocean. Lord Chaitanya, this picture, of course, he's carrying him now to place him into the ocean. And then they performed the samadhi. You can go there near it's down near the seashore there in Jagannath Puri, the samadhi of Haridas Thakur. Lord Chaitanya personally did the samadhi. He placed Haridas Thakur in the pit and personally placed all the auspicious items in there and the sand then on top and everything, and all the devotees did likewise. On the bank of he bathed Haridas Thakur. Got that picture? No, maybe it'll come up afterwards. Maybe again I haven't edited, but he bathed the body of Haridas Thakur in the ocean, and he declared that anyone who takes bath in this place will attain pure love of Godhead, because the water here has been touched by the holy body of Haridas Thakur. And there he is, actually bathing that body of Haridas Thakur. It should be the other way around, I think. In the ocean, with the water of the holy ocean. Everyone's bringing water. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after the samadhi, he then went personally to collect alms for a festival for Haridas Thakur. I'll never forget, I don't know if any of you were there, it must be about 6 years ago in Jagannath Puri, on the parikrama at the end of Kartik. Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj takes a parikrama every year around Puri. I was on the parikrama, and he asked us to put on dramas of Haridas Thakur. So the one drama he asked was the drama of the Tirobhav of Haridas Thakur. So we had about 3 hours notice to do it. So I quickly gave some narration to Bhaktisiddhanta Swami to narrate, because I chose 2 or 3 devotees to take part in the drama. And Ekalavya I asked him to be Lord Chaitanya, I took Haridas Thakur. And I would speak my lines and he would narrate the others. So when we got to the spot for the drama, there were like 5,000 devotees there. And then Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj asked me, please put the drama on here. And I took the megaphone and called for the actors, and one came, and Bhaktisiddhanta Swami came, and the other one didn't come. Ekalavya didn't turn up, Lord Chaitanya. Apparently he had diarrhea or something and couldn't come. So we had no Lord Chaitanya. And I said, what are we going to do? He said, you have to do it somehow or another. So I didn't know what to do. I just looked around and I saw one South American boy from London who I knew. I said, hey, come here quick. Have you ever been in a drama before? He said, no. I said, would you like to be in one? He said, what is it? I said, Haridas Thakur, Dear Disappearances. What do I have to do? I said, do what I say. Here, put this dhoti on. He put Lord Chaitanya's dhoti on. He didn't know what was happening. He came out, and we went through the Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was practically bewildered. I almost had to speak Lord Chaitanya's lines as well. And it was absolutely astonishing, stunning. They're translating into 3 different languages at once. It was absolutely astonishing. And this boy was absolutely empowered. When the scene came for Haridas Thakur leaving his body, tears were rolling down his eyes. It was absolutely incredible. Everyone was really mesmerized. It was an amazing experience. And then at the end of that, he went round like Lord Chaitanya, begging alms. People were coming forward like anything. Unbelievable. We never counted. It must have been at least 100,000 rupees he collected. At least 100,000 rupees. It was astonishing. Everyone, one person gave 10,000 rupees. It was just like a magnet. And luckily it paid for all the festival, feast anyway. Krishna's mercy. The Lord Chaitanya did exactly that. He went around begging until Sri Damodar asked him, please, no, this is not befitting you, Lord. We will make arrangements. So then Lord Chaitanya stopped. And they arranged for this great festival. There's another slide of the same thing. And they arranged this great festival, and Lord Chaitanya personally served the prasadam to all the devotees, to thousands and thousands of devotees. And then he declared, Lord Chaitanya gave this benediction. Anyone who has seen the festival of Sri Haridas Thakur's passing away, anyone who has chanted and danced here, anyone who has offered sand on the body of Haridas Thakur, and anyone who has joined this festival to partake of the prasadam will achieve the favor of Krishna very soon. There is such wonderful power in seeing Haridas Thakur. Being merciful upon me, Krishna gave me the association of Haridas. Being independent in his desires, he has now broken that association. When Haridas wanted to leave this material world, it was not within my power to detain him. Simply by his will, Haridas Thakur could give up his life and go away, exactly like Bhishma, who previously died simply by his own desire, as we have heard from Shastra. Haridas Thakur was the crown jewel on the head of the world. Without him, this world is now bereft of its valuable jewel. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told everyone, say, all glories to Haridas Thakur. All glories to Haridas Thakur. And chant the holy name of Hari. Saying this, he personally began to dance. Everyone began to chant, all glories to Haridas Thakur, who revealed the importance of chanting the holy name of the Lord. Sheila, that's this. This is in a different place, but this is the Samadhi. There's different temples of Haridas Thakur. This is the Samadhi of Haridas. I'm sorry, the slides are going in different order. I'm getting lost. There's the Samadhi of Haridas Thakur. And There it is. This is the Samadhi of Haridas Thakur in Jagannath Puri, which is a place you must visit, although it's, what's his name, Radharamanachari, whatever his name is, who took over these temples, and they chant this funny mantra nowadays, but still the atmosphere is still very transcendental. Haridas Thakur's presence is very powerful. That's the gate, I think. I think these are just extra slides. No, that's it. Srila Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai. Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Go Premanande. Jai. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanande. Well, I hope that you got something more than just some sentiment out of that, but something which will inspire us to become more serious in our chanting and more serious in delivering it to others also. This is not a private business. It is everyone's right and everyone's good fortune to have this opportunity to follow in the footsteps of Namacharya Haridas Thakur in serving Srila Prabhupada by cultivating pure chanting of the holy name and giving it to others. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Tomorrow